Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench once again. Today was supposed to be an engine run day, but now, when can you get lightning and thunder to happen on cue? There's a thunderstorm happening outside, so I don't know if that's going to happen. So what I'm going to do today is kind of a couple of things here. First, I just published a Reduga 10RU update video, but here I want to show you that I do have this thing remedied now. Here's the engine, and you can see that it does flip and flop just like it should. It's got good compression. So the issue with this was two parts. I mean, it was the goo stuff that was put in this engine as a preservative, and over the course of 30 years it turned to cement. But then it would appear that anytime I put the prop on there and tighten it, that's when it really started to tighten up. So it dawned on me that that would be a thrust washer type of thing, especially since it's got an open front bearing. And I don't understand. I never had that drive washer off before until yesterday when I disassembled that engine. But there wasn't one there. Or maybe I did have it off. I don't know. Anyway, there wasn't one there when I got the engine. It should have been one. I was fixturing some stuff together and happened to have some stainless steel screws and had one that just fit perfectly on there, as you'll see in those pictures in that quick little video. Fit perfectly, works great. Now I can run that engine. So, but the real subject of this is yet another engine reassembly video. If you don't want to watch that, then just turn the video off now. But so on the table I've got, and I'm probably going to go ahead and just turn this camera off. I've got my 91 FS Surpass Enigma engine, as I had termed it. And you can go and search the channel for the history of this engine. But I'm going to turn this camera off and just focus on the camera shooting downward and get to the reassembly of this engine. Okay, so here's the engine. Now this is an engine I had just put in new Boca bearings, ceramic Boca bearings. Now this is the first time I've ever utilized ceramic bearings. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they would feel so tight like they do. I don't know if that's the way ceramic bearings are until they get broken in or run or what. I don't know. All I know is that's really tight. So here's all the parts of my engine. I did have to purchase a gasket set, which I was actually fortunate to get, because these kind of gasket sets from OS are really kind of becoming hard to find. I don't think this had gaskets on the rear cover. I may utilize that, but it was really the head shim that was missing that I needed. So I'm just going to sit here and quickly contemplate my contemplate where I'm going to start with this that wouldn't be just as boring as all other ones. Now here I always like to have my screws laid out, and it seems like I've got an extra screw here, and I'm not sure exactly where that goes, because I'm pretty sure this one here goes into the rocker arm to secure the rocker arm. So I'm not exactly sure where that screw came from, but let's just get on with the reassembly of this engine. So I believe that I'm going to need my headlight so that I can see the timing dot on this timing gear, because I think that's probably where I want to start here. Let's see, that's the thing. When I lay parts out like this, it's not really conducive to me putting the engine back together, so I'm just going to kind of move some of these things. There's the thunder. Hear it? Move some of these things out of the way. So I need to have this at top dead center, which won't be difficult because it's so sticky. I won't have to really worry about holding that in place. What I do need to do is, as usual, Sasha's got a potty. Why does she always have to potty right when I'm making videos? I don't understand that. First I've got to find the side that has the dot. There's the dot. Boy, it doesn't look like I did a very good job. Now see, this was an Enigma engine, and you'll have to go back and watch those other videos as to why I called it that. But it doesn't look like I did a very good job cleaning it. This is an engine that I'm never going to sell, so it's my engine. So it isn't perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. And that is not a good drop. So a lot of, when you're doing this thing here, a lot of it's just getting lucky and dropping it in at the right spot, because this dot needs to go in line with these push rods, which aren't vertical, they're at a slight angle. And looks like
I have it there. I can maybe get that up there high enough and angle it and show you. Maybe I can zoom in while I'm editing so you can see
the dot is in the proper position. I'm happy with that. No, I don't think I am happy with that now that I look at that. It was not. It looked like that was a tooth off. I could get this thing right light pointed down at the right angle. It still, to me, looks like it's a tooth off. Should be right there. Yeah, so it's going a tooth off. It's way off now. Wish I could have like an electromagnet and just release this thing when I wanted to, but even if I could do that, it would. The magnet is in the way of me seeing. Way off. It's like it just isn't wanting to go on that one other tooth right there. There we got it.
Yeah, that was a lot more challenging than I think it should have been. Hopefully I can get that angled in there so you can see the dot. And then I can enhance it.
But it was a tooth off, and now it's not, so I think we're good there. Oh, I guess it would have helped if maybe I'd have had my light turned on the brightest setting too. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Yep, you're good. So it's funny that this doesn't want to fit in there now. What the hell is going on? This is the Enigma engine. There's so many things that are just unusual about this engine, and it's like, now, why would I have any kind of difficulty getting this to fit in there? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This should just drop right in place. Do I have a burr here? Do I have a burr here? Nothing feels out of place there. I've never ever had to heat one of these things up to get this cam cover back on, but yet for some reason there's something not happy here. I don't know what that would be. Huh. Well, you know what? I think my lunch is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this video off real quick and pick this up a bit later. Okay, I'm back from my quickie lunch. I did just before, and as soon as I turned the camera off, I thought, well, I'll just real quick go and get the, maybe I should zoom back in here a little bit more. Go and get my heat gun, and I had to do a little bit of dressing up of the outside of this cover and then the inside edge. I don't know why. I don't recall having an issue getting that off, but maybe I did. I don't know. All I know is I ended up having to heat it and tap that thing in place. So, like I said, since this is my engine, and I won't be selling it to anybody, I might give it to somebody at some point, but I won't be selling it. I'm not too concerned about some of these imperfections that I'm finding with this thing. So that is in there. We're still at top dead center. I really want to be at bottom dead center now, because I'm going to put the sleeve in, or put the piston in, and all that stuff. So we got the piston here, got our connecting rod. Now you see, I'll explain this because I just had this issue with another OS engine. You see the gap and see how thick these bosses are for this piston pin, and see how much movement you've got back and forth here. Not all engines are like that. Some engines are quite tight. In fact, the bosses are so thick that you really only have a little bit of movement. And this was a two-stroke engine in particular. It was the BX1 that was like that, and the fellow that sent it to me basically said he couldn't get he couldn't get this out of the engine. And that was the reason, is because these things, the piston pin is notorious for getting gunked up with all kinds of oil and residue and stuff that just makes it so that most engines you come apart or used are not going to move like, you know, this way, and a lot of them may not even move very freely this way either. Which just reminds me, now all of these engines, all of these parts are coated with a light coating of oil, but just for the heck of it, I'm gonna start putting more on these things here, just because that should have felt a little bit smoother than that. But I mean, that piston pin was noted in one of the earlier videos was brand new. I mean, it looked brand new. I didn't do anything to that thing. That was the way the pin looked. So let's see here. I'm gonna get my magnifier. My magnifier's here. I'm gonna get my magnifier here again and check and see which side of this is chamfered. This looks to be, you know, this is interesting because both sides look like they could be chamfered. Now it's this one here. So this one is the one that needs to go on. I don't think I really wanted that at bottom dead center just yet. It's better for me if I have it at top dead center first. Okay, there we go. Now we can rotate it down here a little bit. And there was oil in here to make that all slippery, 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 slippery. There we go. Okay, so our sleeve is in. So now I want to leave this at bottom dead center. And just I don't know. This is weird about these ceramic bearings. I'm just going to put some oil in here. I know in my installation video I said there's no oil required, but damn, those things are kind of snug. Okay, so the next thing is, let's put our head on. Now the other thing I need to mention is that I did not go and purchase new seals for the push rods because this one's broken. So this is going to have not really any seals in there. Well, it's going to have the 3 that are really brittle and still probably on the verge of breaking. Here's that head shim. And that doesn't look like it's the right size. Maybe it is. Oh, these things, if you get them bent a little bit, just try to get it out of the package. It got a little tweaked. Now this still had a gasket here, so I'm not going to use the new gasket that came with this set because that one didn't come off and it wasn't. I just want to see how that's going to feel on there. Okay. Well. Oh, you know what I got to do here? I would have sucked. Gotta put our cam followers in. Put them in their correct orientation. The cup side obviously goes up. Flat side goes down. It's like that shim came off. You know what, I think what I'm going to do here is I think I want to put this on my vise to hold that. Hold this engine in place while I do this. Stand by while I open this up. And move things out of the way to get the vise in the frame. Is it in the frame? It's kind of in the frame. It's going to have to be. Okay, so maybe I don't want a shim in here. I don't know. Almost seems like that shim is really thick. It seems like this, it feels so, yeah, I'm asking you to feel it. Feel it! I put it on there and the top of the sleeve drops right into this cutout here perfectly and it feels good. But when this shim is in here, I don't feel that at all. So it's like, do I really want that shim on there? Because it's like now it's going to do this type of deal because that shim is completely without a shim. It's going to have a higher compression ratio. With a shim, that shim is just thick. That is really thick. Let me show you how thick that is. Let me pull out my nice new Boca bearing calipers here. And we'll see that this shim is 0.41, 0.42 millimeters. That's really a thick shim. You know, I'm not putting that on. I don't care. I guess I just spent money for something I'm not going to use at this time, but I'm not putting that on. And maybe it's because this, I don't know. It says FS91S2 S2P. So maybe this version of the Surpass really didn't need a shim, and this is just the gasket set for the 91S version 2, so I'm not putting it on there. If it would have had one to begin with, it probably would have been a lot thinner in my opinion, because that is just ridiculous how thick that is. There we go. That's the way it should feel. So I don't know how much I paid for that, but I'll just throw that, tape it all back up and throw it in my parts bin for another customer should the need arise. Now the rear gasket, you know what, I don't even think I'm going to use the gasket, because if that's for a Surpass Mark II or whatever, maybe they changed some tolerances on between the two engines. I don't know. I don't have inside information to... I don't think I really need this now. To what they do with their stuff. So make sure I snug these things down just until they start to feel snug. They all start to feel snug, and then I'm going to go ahead and torque them down in a diamond or diagonal pattern. Okay, now we've got, this is why we keep this in bottom dead center. We put our push rods in. Make this thing go like that. So this is the thrust washer that comes with an OS Surpass engine. It looks much different than the one I just put on that Reduga engine. I can put this on here. I don't know that it's going to stay right at this moment, unless I throw some props on here, or throw the prop nut on here. Let's see here. It's not, I don't know how far that's going to thread on there, if it's going to actually hold it or not. It looks like it might. Okay, let's see here. Oh, it's really oily. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, when you go to set the valve lash on a 4-stroke engine, the way I was always taught and learned, and maybe I read it in a manual, is that when you see the intake go down, because you don't normally have your rear cover off, intake goes down and then it comes up, and you don't immediately have exhaust moving. You're on your compression stroke. And you always want to stop it at top dead center. And how I usually do that is I'll have a toothpick or something that I stick in there, and I feel for the piston coming to top dead center. And then that's where you would check your valve lash and set your valve lash. And I don't know if I need to leave it like that or not. I can always find it again later. But so here's that one screw, and here's a screw. So I mentioned that I had found, in the last video, I mentioned that I had found a replacement screw, and then I didn't find it. Didn't find it in when I was pulling all these screws out. I don't know what the heck I did with it. It couldn't have been that one, but the one I found actually is not really the right thread size. It's like one size too small. So I have to just hope for the best because I didn't order a set of OS screws. I think this was from Aceto. So I'm gonna... Yeah, it's not gonna work. Shit. I'm gonna have to find another screw before I run this engine because I don't have one for that right now. And actually I should probably make it so that it's down here so it's easier to get to when the carb is on. So I'm gonna have to get another screw, and I don't know if the hobby store will have one or not, because the ones I got from the hobby store said they were 3mm, and I think this is a hair bigger than that. My hobby store is becoming quite lame with having Dubro stuff or basically any freaking thing that relates to glow engines or glow anything. It's just lame. These are the two that go in here. And yes, I'm going to call you out. Hobbytown, USA, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Wonderful hobby store, as long as you're not a glow engine enthusiast. They got all kinds of other cool stuff. But other than that, you suck. That's where I got a bunch of APC props for half price because they were getting rid of them. Whenever you see somebody selling APC props for half price, you better start grabbing everything else you can from that place because they're liquidating and they're getting rid of. Remember, one of these was not super happy either. Yeah, this one here is really, the head's really messed up on this one. So yes, less than perfect engine but you never know, it could still run really well. We'll see. Won't see today because of rain, but we'll see. Now the other thing that I bought for this engine, which is funny because I just got a Magnum engine that had a bunch of these, is a Ratchet spring is what they're calling this, because this was missing one. But I don't think I'm going to show you putting this on here because it just, maybe I will, it's just not a pleasant thing to do because they make these things really tight. It's not like you can just slide this on there. Typically you have to like spread it open with some sort of pliers first to get it to... So I have these angled nose pliers. If I can just get in there just enough so that I'm just getting on the inside of it and open it up just enough to facilitate there we go. I think that's probably the easiest way I've ever done that. The most trouble-free way. And then, because the thing is, these things have really sharp edges and it's really easy to end up bleeding putting this thing on there. Oh crap, did I not? Oh shit. I thought I had this carball. I thought I had that carball cleaned up and lubed and ready to go and everything, and now I don't. So I'm going to have to do that while it's on the engine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some 3-in-1 oil in here, heat this thing up, pop this barrel retention screw out, get it rotating. pop this barrel retention screw out, pull it out, clean off that barrel because it's probably got a whole bunch of crap on there. In fact, I guess if you really want to watch me do that, stand by because I'll be doing it here in a second. I gotta find a screwdriver bit for that. Let's move those things out of the way. I forget, I might as well show. People wanted to see engine assembly and disassembly. I might as well show all the stuff that I do. I could have swore I messed with this car, but apparently I didn't. I don't feel like taking it off. Oh, where's my paper towel? Okay, there we go. Alright, so that's loosened up. There should be a spring in here. Oh yeah, that needs to be cleaned up. Doesn't look too bad in there. Now typically what I would do inside here, if I saw residue in there that needed to be cleaned out, I would use full strength LA's Totally Awesome on a Q-tip. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using some, I don't know if this is 400 or 600 oil soaked cloth, not cloth, sandpaper, and cleaning that garbage off there and re-oiling it. Wow, there's a dove right outside my window here looking in at me. And then we'll just, I didn't see it. So there's another thing, is I don't see the spring that's supposed to be in there, so there's yet another part of this Enigma engine that's missing, but that's not a super huge deal. Had I done this before, I probably would have seen if I could have found one. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure why they put those springs in there when you're manually controlling the throttle anyway. Alright, so now we're good to go. Now I can do set the valve latch, which I'm not going to put on camera. I've done that a million times. So this engine is reassembled once once I get a proper replacement screw. Or you know what I might just do with this one? I think that's what I might do with this one. I'll try it and see. Since this is my engine and I don't really care, I may just wrap the living crap out of this thing with Teflon tape and shove it in there. See what happens. See if it feels like it wants to snug down. Otherwise I'll have to go to the hobby store and see if I can. Yeah, it's just not doing anything there. It's gonna come out. Anyway, so that's pretty much the conclusion of this. Get a proper screw or wrap the living crap out of that with Teflon tape. I still don't understand where this screw came from. It's not missing from any place. So anyway, that's your assembly video for today.